There is a voice that once you hear it, you never forget. Low, measured, velvet and steel at the same time. A voice that could make a simple sentence feel like the most important words ever spoken. That voice belonged to one man, Alan Rickman. And almost nobody heard it until he was 41 years old. 41. While others his age were accepting awards, celebrating careers, Alan was still waiting, still believing, still becoming. This is his story. Alan Sidney Patrick Rickman was born on the 21st of February, 1946. In Acton, West London. A working-class neighborhood. Rows of identical houses. Narrow streets. Small dreams. His father, Bernard Rickman, worked in a factory. A quiet, hard-working man, devoted to his family. But when Alan was just 8 years old, Bernard died. Just like that. Gone. And the world Alan knew shifted beneath his feet forever. His mother, Margaret, was left alone. 4 children. No second income. No safety net. Just survival. Every single day. Alan watched his mother carry that weight. Quietly. Bravely. Without complaint. And something settled deep inside him. A seriousness. A stillness. An understanding that life was fragile. And therefore, precious. He didn't grow up dreaming of Hollywood. Not at first. He was artistic, yes. Creative, deeply. But practical too. He studied graphic design at Chelsea College of Art. Then the Royal College of Art. He was talented. His work was strong. He could have built a comfortable life in design. And for a while, that seemed like the path. But theater kept calling. That voice inside him, not the famous one the world would later know, but the inner voice. The one that whispers the truth when everything else is quiet. This isn't it. This isn't your purpose. You were made for something else. So at 26 years old, an age when most acting students are just finishing training, Alan Rickman walked into the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art. RADA. The most prestigious drama school in Britain. The place where legends are made. And he auditioned. And he got in. RADA changed him. No, that's not quite right. RADA didn't change him. It revealed him. The talent was always there. Buried under practicality. Under grief. Under years of taking the sensible path. But inside those walls, something was unlocked. He trained with ferocious dedication. He studied voice, movement, classical text, Shakespeare. He absorbed everything. And that voice, that extraordinary, unmistakable instrument, began to take shape. Deep, deliberate. Every word placed like a chess piece. His professors noticed. His peers noticed. Everyone who heard him stopped. Because when Alan Rickman spoke, the air in the room changed. He graduated from RADA and moved into theater. The stage. His first true home. Through the late 1970s and into the 1980s. He built his reputation brick by brick. The Royal Shakespeare Company. Some of the most challenging classical roles in the English language. He played them all with a precision and depth that left audiences breathless. Critics wrote about him. Directors wanted him. Within the theater world, Alan Rickman was already a star. But the wider world didn't know his name yet. Film and television somehow kept passing him by. He was in his mid-30s, then late 30s. Watching actors younger than him break through on screen. And still, he waited. He didn't compromise. He didn't chase roles beneath him. He didn't beg. He simply continued to be extraordinary. And trusted that eventually, the world would catch up. Then came 1985. A play. Les Liaisons Dangereuses. Alan was cast as the Vicomte de Beaumont. A manipulative, brilliant, devastatingly charming aristocrat. A man who weaponized desire. Who treated people as pieces in a game. And Alan played him. With such terrifying elegance. Such magnetic, dangerous charisma. That the theater world stood completely still. The production transferred to the West End. Then to Broadway. And suddenly, the film world was paying attention. Hollywood producers flew to see him. Directors canceled other meetings to be in that audience. Because what Alan Rickman was doing on that stage wasn't just acting. It was something rarer. Something that couldn't be taught. It was presence. Pure, undeniable, overwhelming presence. The call came. A film. An action movie, actually. Not Shakespeare. Not period drama. An action movie set in a Los Angeles skyscraper. Die Hard. The role, Hans Gruber. A European terrorist. Sophisticated. Ruthless. Wickedly funny. The villain. Alan was 41 years old. It was his film debut. His first film. At 41. And he didn't just appear in Die Hard. He owned it. From the first moment Hans Gruber walked onto screen. Adjusting his tie. Surveying the room. Wearing danger like a tailored suit. Every person watching knew. This man is something special. He matched Bruce Willis scene for scene. He was funny and terrifying in the same breath. He delivered lines with a timing so perfect. It felt like music. I'm going to count to 3. There will not be a 4. Simple words. In Alan Rickman's mouth. They became iconic. The film was a global phenomenon. And overnight, after decades of waiting, Alan Rickman became a name the whole world knew. But here is what makes his story different. What makes it remarkable. Most actors, after a breakthrough like that, would chase the same thing forever. More villains. More action. More Hans Gruber. Not Alan. He went back to the theater. He returned to the stage. He chose truly madly deeply. A quiet, heartbreaking film about grief and love and letting go. No explosions. No weapons. Just a man playing a cello. And 2 people loving each other across the boundary of death. He made audiences weep. Then he made them laugh in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. His Sheriff of Nottingham's, both on screen and off. And then came the role that would seal his legacy forever. The role that a generation would grow up with. The role that, years later, would make grown adults weep in cinemas. When they finally understood the full truth of it. Severus Snape. When J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter was being adapted for the screen, there was one name she wanted above all others. For the mysterious, cold, complicated potions master. The man who seemed to be a villain. But was carrying a secret so devastating. So heartbreaking. That when it was finally revealed, the entire world caught its breath. Alan Rickman. And J.K. Rowling told him something she told no one else on that production. She told him the truth about Snape. The ending. The secret. The love story hidden beneath all that darkness. She told him. So that he could play every scene with the full weight of what he knew. And he did. For 10 years. 8 films. Alan Rickman carried that secret. And buried it in every look. Every pause. Every quietly devastating line. Always. One word. Delivered so softly. So completely. That it broke hearts across the entire world. Behind the camera, behind the fame. Alan Rickman was known as something Hollywood rarely produces. A genuinely good person. Loyal. Generous. Grounded. He and his partner Rima Horton had been together since they were teenagers. Childhood sweethearts. Through RADA. Through the early struggling years. Through Die Hard. Through Harry Potter. 50 years together. They married quietly in 2012. No announcement. No publicity. Just two people who had loved each other through everything. Making it official. He mentored young actors without ego or agenda. He showed up for independent films and small theater productions. Long after he could have spent every moment on Hollywood sets. He directed. He produced. He gave back. He understood that talent is a gift you didn't earn. And therefore something you owe to the world. In 2015, Alan Rickman was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He told almost no one. He continued working. He laughed with friends. He showed up. On the 14th of January, 2016. Surrounded by family and loved ones. Alan Rickman died. He was 69 years old. The world stopped. Social media fell quiet in a way it almost never does. Messages poured in from every corner of the planet. From actors who had worked with him. From directors who had been changed by him. From millions of ordinary people. Who had grown up with his voice in their ears. His face on their screens. His characters living in their hearts. Emma Thompson, his close friend and colleague, said simply. He was the finest of men and actors. Daniel Radcliffe, who had grown up watching him across film sets, spoke of a man who treated a young, nervous child actor with nothing but kindness and respect. J.K. Rowling said that Snape was always hers and Alan's. And that would never change. Here is what Alan Rickman's life teaches us. It is not a lesson about overnight success. It is not a lesson about being in the right place at the right time. It is a deeper lesson. A harder one. And a more important one. Patience is not weakness. Patience, real patience. The kind that doesn't give up, doesn't compromise, doesn't settle. That is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. Alan Rickman was 41 years old when the world first saw him. 41. He had spent over a decade mastering his craft on stages most people never saw. He had built something extraordinary in the dark. Long before anyone turned the lights on. And when his moment came, he was ready. Not lucky. Not discovered. Ready. Because he had never stopped preparing. He had never stopped believing. He had never once decided that the timeline of someone else's success had anything to do with his own. There is something else. Something quieter. But just as important. Alan Rickman never forgot where he came from. A fatherless boy in working-class London. A kid who took the practical path first. Because that's what survival required. He never wore his talent like armor. He never used his fame as currency. He remained, through all of it, curious, humble, human. He understood that the great roles, the ones that last, are not about performance. They are about truth. And truth requires you to bring your whole self. Your grief. Your patience. Your love. Your loss. Everything you have lived. Everything you have carried. Alan Rickman carried a great deal. And he poured every last drop of it into every single role he ever played. So if you are reading this, if you are watching this, and you feel like your moment has not come yet, if you feel overlooked, underestimated, too late, if the world has not yet seen what you know you carry inside, remember Alan Rickman. Remember the boy who lost his father. Remember the graphic designer who heard a different calling. Remember the theater actor who waited. And waited. And waited. And remember that at 41 years old, he walked onto a film set for the very first time. And became immortal. Your timeline is your own. Your moment will come. But only if you never stop preparing for it. Never stop honing the gift. Never stop showing up. Always. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of something you needed to hear today, please subscribe. Because every single week, we bring you the stories of men and women who refused to quit, who carried their talent through the dark, and eventually lit up the world. This is Alan Rickman, one of the greatest to ever do it. Gone too soon. Never forgotten.